Alright. So, I know I said I wouldn't come back to YouTube. I said I would rather stay or go back to Twitch or whatever, but you know what? I kind of miss the old place, so here I am again. Anyways, introductions. My name is CF, but on Twitch, I my people there call me Kralos, so you can call me that here too. And instead of doing puzzles, doing random streams, doing video games, I guess ever since I went back to my other home, I'd gotten back into doing more art streams. The last stream I did on here was my Critter stream, and now, well, let me just the camera a little bit. It looks like I'm frozen. Hold on a sec. All right, does that help at all? All right, you know what? I'm gonna have to give me a sec, guys. All right, we're back. I froze for a hot minute, so it's a thing that is happening with this capture card lately. Actually, let me adjust this a little bit here. Okay, here we go. So, anyways, yeah, I'm back at it again. I've been doing a lot of art streams on the other site, and I just I guess in my little return, I guess my all the art streams I've been doing, I guess I end up getting wrangled because I don't know. It might be because of what I made, because of the animation I worked on, which I uploaded. And if you watch this channel, you've seen it by now because it was for Hololive. It was for Hololive alum. Kiryu Coco, and now it's. I guess now I've been tasked with making an ED for the Fist of the b0rf Star animated remake. So, which is funny because one thing I never talk about this channel is the fact that I Fist the b0rf Star was a creation of mine on a past channel. Anybody who, all the people who are working on the remake know that I'm the the man behind it, and we're very bummed out when all the times that I've left. But whatever. Um, no, not whatever. I don't know. It's complicated, but I won't get into it. But it's funny how something that I'm now working on the remake for this thing, so which has taken the main people behind it 4 years, but now he's kind of got like now Danjin has a whole team behind him. Oh, I just realized something. I'll be right back. The thing I forgot, I forgot little paper towels for my brushes after I dip them in, so they're not too wet. So, all right. So this ED, which is essentially anime terms for ending animation or ending, is going to be made up of like 6 different watercolor images. I did all the all the pencils on my Twitch streams, and now here I am to fill this in. So I think the toughest part is kind of figuring out the color scheme, because most of these characters, have their own color schemes, but I guess just trying to figure out like time of day, what kind of shadows to put in, what color to make this nightmare of a horse. So I kind of envision a kind of grayish sky for this. So I'm going to put it in a little bit. There we go. Okay, so let's do this. And one thing I want to kind of get better at as somebody who's been doing watercolors for like years now, someone that kind of definitely underrated watercolors growing up, because it was just like the simple and cheap paint that you could get. Like I never even got to use like acrylics when I was in high school. Like it was all watercolor or oil pastel crayons. It's really weird now that I look back at it. Like if is that like normal for like did other people who went to high school, did like their teachers like give them like, did they allow like acrylics or because and like oil paints I don't expect anybody to like get a hold of. Like come on, oil paint's oil paint, like charcoal I can see, yeah, like of course makes sense. Also I have this taped down, so this is a thing I've forgotten to do because I was not educated this way, and also this is cheap watercolor paper, unfortunately. But so depending on how good your watercolor paper is, it won't like start to wrinkle like this. This wrinkling is bad. But if you kind of tape it down, it helps. It helps a little bit. But look at the way like the water is kind of like, not really being absorbed on it. So it's, I'm either using too much water or this is just, I was right. This is really bad watercolor paper. So, and I think it is because there's less water here and it hasn't like bunched up like this. So, but the sky is pretty much done. I might add more later, but I want to get down these mountains. I think I'm going to make these all purple. I'm going to add some more ultramarine. Okay, so, but what I was saying about things I want to kind of improve on as someone who uses watercolors is I really would like to not treat watercolors the way I treat my pencil sketches, which is to say, not going like, because this takes me a little while too. But like when I do pencil sketches, I have this nasty tendency to do a lot of short, scratchy strokes, and I'm trying to get away from that. And for this watercolor, for my watercolor set that I'm using, I am using I have like a Winsor Newton tube set, so which has served me very well. I talked about a little bit on my other channel about how. Alright, perfect. My other channel about how the kind of like paints you should get. Because the other thing, I think that's something my teacher said too, is just like you want to like drag the paint, essentially. That is looking terrible on video. Like from my angle, it all looks fine, but like you guys can really see the shadows now. Like that looks right. If I do it like that, it looks bad. Alright. Anyways, here, let me grab that off. I think I am using too much water, which is why it's like bending a lot this way. Which is going to be bad when when I have to photograph this. I thought like maybe taping it down would help. Maybe you can still. Yeah, so the reason I'm doing this in watercolor is because Dan Gennaruni, the man responsible for the remake, asked me if I could do it in this style, and I obliged them. So there's not actually, well, it's not much of that story, after all. So I just he asked me to do it in this way, and I said sure, and now we're doing it this way. So it's funny how those things work out. Another funny thing is so I actually had to get new, and I'm mixing my paint right now. I actually had to get myself some new, new watercolor paints recently. Because the one good thing about having like a set that's like made out of tubes is that you can always go to I would say not every arts and crafts store are gonna sell individual tubes, but this is always good. Like when you can find one that has like a tube section, if you can drive out to like your nearest. I would have said Hobby Lobby before, but when I lived in the Midwest, I would have said Hobby Lobby. But if you live in the city that has real art stores, not real art stores, but like more dedicated art stores like a Blick or whatever, it's much preferable. I would say a Blick is a better place to go for art supplies. I want to make that a little lighter. No, actually, that was a good color. It's a weird hobbled fence there, which I'm gonna kind of go in after I put the main color down and like put in some more details. But anyways, like what's good about having tube paints is that at the very least you can go in, like when you run out of one, you can go in and replace it, as opposed to having like the little like what do you call them? I guess like the little packs, like, because I know there's a lot of watercolor sets, especially travel ones, cheap ones that you can pick up from like, I don't know, like a crap, like maybe like a more arts and crafts store, like a Joanne Fabrics or something, or even like you go to a Walmart and you go to their arts and crafts section. There's always those like little paint palettes. You have the little watercolor sets that have like the little like cakes in it. I guess I think they're called cakes. But you go over there and you have like you see these cakes, and the cake sets are fine. And I think like I was used to like painting with a cake set, I think, for a long time. So I'm gonna leave that alone because I want to have the fire, a little bit of like light there, so I'm gonna leave that as is. Then so what I'm gonna do here, I'm not gonna fully do that because I want to like bring out the wash. I want to kind of pull down some of this color. You know, there's a part of me that just kind of really enjoy the pencil aspect of it, you know? Like, I wondered if I could have convinced Danjin maybe to let me get away with making this into a bunch of like pencil sketches instead, or even charcoal sketches. Because they didn't look that bad before. It's funny how like sometimes it feels like giving something color makes it final, when like honestly, like I think like a pencil drawing or a charcoal drawing, you know, like is good on its own. So and that is looking very awful with all the wrinkles that it's developed from the water. See, this is a problem that you don't have if you are just working with pencil. Like you never have to worry about like your paper getting wrinkled up from the amount of water content. Also, this should also act as a lesson to anybody that this is no good, like, to get that, you know. Alright, so I've kind of laid down a lot of stuff here. And before I kind of start going into the backgrounds a little bit more, I'm going to start with the characters themselves. Or no, you know, I got this car in the front here. So I'm going to actually darken that up a little bit. Oh, no, I messed up on that. I'm gonna make this a little light here. So there's like a watercolorist that I really like, that I've gotten to discover in like the last few years. Named Scott Lava, or he goes by Scott Lava on Instagram. I forget his like full real name, but his Instagram handle is Scott Lava, and the way he does watercolors is just like so simple and great. but I don't know. It's just like inspiring. He's one of the people who's worked on Double Fine. So like he's like involved like all that Psychonaut stuff. But it's like artwork. And his main thing is like the Great Showdowns artworks, and they're so good. I love these little paintings. But also he uses really nice like stiff watercolor paper, which is what I should have got. Like this watercolor paper is a lie because it looks nice and stiff, but the minute it starts absorbing water or getting water on it, it just starts to wrinkle up and go bad. So there is that problem there. Let's see, and then this flagpole. So we go right here. Oh, keep flicking water on it. I don't know why it does that. Let's see. Sometimes if there's too much pigment, I just like to go in and like kind of absorb it with my with like a paper towel, you know. I think for this car, I'm gonna make it nice and red here in the foreground. And I like to use like an alizarin crimson. Like I've spoken about this on a different stream about how I like, or I was kind of taught that like there's like the perfect the perfect paint colors, like especially in the world of like oil paints. I think less so in acrylics because my painting teacher for acrylics didn't really push this, but for sure my oil painting teacher, he definitely said, or she definitely said, you wanted like alizarin crimson, you wanted ultramarine, you wanted titanium white, you wanted burnt umber, yellow ochre, burnt sienna, alizarin crimson, and then I think cadmium yellow. You wanted those, like you wanted you wanted the three basic colors, which were alizarin, cadmium, like alizarin crimson, cadmium yellow, and like ultramarine. And then, because you never needed to make green, you did need like a viridian or a phthalo green. You never needed to make like. Actually, no, I wasn't. I think it was a man who I had for a oil painting teacher. Yeah. Not to. Yeah, and then you need like your three. You needed your three like three main ones. You needed your three like primary colors essentially, and then you needed your earth tones. The earth tones were useful because it's eventually. I'm gonna leave this here like that little red out, like this little white outline, because I don't know what kind of light situation I'm gonna do. So then I'm gonna darken that up a little bit. You can kind of tell this is bad watercolor, but you can see kind of like the grain of this, like really like pill. You can kind of see it pill a little bit, aside from the wrinkling, which is not good. But like I was saying, so obviously the main reasons you should have the three primaries is because you can make any color with that. You don't need to buy paints that are the other colors, and plus, when you have 7 paints, like especially with oil paint, when you have 7 tubes of paint, there's like no reason to like buy all these extra colors for whatever reason. I mean, Bob Ross is a genius, and his approach to painting is very good. But also, like, he makes you get too many paints, man. Like, you have to have a whole paint set. When, but also it's also because he paints very quickly, and therefore, having these specific colors already prepped, I guess would make sense for him. So it's a different approach, but like in a regular like speed approach to a Bob Ross painting, especially with like oil paints, I was always taught that having those three primaries, those three, I guess, perfect color primaries, and then those three earth tones, and then titanium white to lighten things up, is always good. And like the reason the earth tones are good is because like they work well for underpainting. Because like you can use the yellow ochre to like decide where you're gonna put your light colors. You have the burnt sienna for midtones, and you have your burnt umber for your dark tones. So all those things make sense. And of course, you don't need to ever buy black. You make black. You can make black by combining burnt umber and ultramarine. In fact, that makes a really nice neutral gray, like a nice dark neutral gray. So those are always good. And I don't really understand why I have a China white in this set. Like, I have a China white, and I never use it because I don't need to, like, if I want to lighten things up, I just don't understand why. I'm going to make this a yellow flag. I thought I might as well. Okay, and then while I still have yellow, I'm going to do Marmaduke back here real quick. I'm going to switch. These smaller ones, I always tell myself, yeah, like I can just use like this tight tip, but it's better if I switch over to a smaller one. And luckily I do have like a smaller brush for this. And it's funny how it's the brush that the set comes with. I always find it funny. It's always the one that like sometimes you didn't think you need. Just gonna pull the paint down. See how it like kind of pulls there? And that's really how you should be doing this. Sometimes you need to make sure you get rid of all the excess paint. And then Odie is also yellow, I forgot. But I'll make him a paler yellow. I'll add more water to this. There we go. It's funny how sometimes when you work on a thing that's like a series, usually what happens is like the first few things feel like they never come together, but it's not until you like start to make these other ones. It's not until you kind of get like a flow going, you start really feeling like what you're doing, that things start to come together. Like this is the one that like really broke through because the rest of my drawings look way better. And also you can kind of see that by also having it taped down, like you see the wrinkling start to go away as it dries. So this is kind of getting it's starting to clean itself up a little bit, and this is where the tape works, because if I didn't have the tape, it would have made it very bad. And so right now I'm looking up. So I want to start working on Dilbert and Wally here. I need to look up their color schemes. Molly's got a green tie. I never noticed that. Ranch or Cool Ranch? Man, Dilbert 3 was still one of my favorite animations. But I'm also bummed out that, like, how much, like, I'm also incredibly bummed out about the fact that, like, I used to think that one of my college friends knew the person behind it, and went to school with them, and then I realized that, like, that wasn't the case anymore. So it's very unfortunate, at least for me. Okay, so John's colors are easy because he just has like a light blue shirt, and like I said, this set that I'm using has a bunch of extra colors that I don't think I would have ever used. It has like a Prussian blue, it has like a Viridian hue, it has like a cerulean blue hue, and along with like a cadmium red, which looks really orange, and then the good colors, and then of course an ivory black, for whatever reason. And despite my complaints about like what colors to add or subtract out of the pure colors, out of the basic like colors you need, these actually do come in handy. John has this like ripped up polo shirt. Then I'm gonna add a bit more of this ultramarine to kind of give him darker jeans. Yeah, there we go. Nice. And these boys just have khakis on, so I'm going to add a little bit. So actually, no, this is where these earth tones come in handy. Gray it up a little bit and give them these. No, actually, they have like gray pants now that I think about it, or like black pants. Let me double check. Because I always forget. Let me see. Let's see. Dilbert. Yeah, they have black pants, huh? Weird. Okay, well that makes it easy, I guess. All right. So this is where having that, like I said, that gray color comes in. So I'm going to be mixing this burnt umber here with this ultramarine. And you got to be careful about how much pigment you're using, because too much of one, you really have to use the other one, and then like you don't want it to lean in one direction unless you want it to have like a bluish color. But see, that already kind of makes a nice neutral gray. I want to add a little bit more blue, and I want this to pop a little bit, so I'm going to give these lads. Don't want it to be too dark, because then you can't see the pencil outline. And if it is too dark, I can always go in and check that out a little bit. It's like that, see? But also, like I said, cheap watercolor paper, not to mention the fact that I overworked the hell out of this with like the erasing and whatnot. Means that a lot of this is also gonna look a little. It's going to start to pill a little bit. I call it pilling because of the fact that like it reminds me of like how like felt will pill a lot, or like fleece has a tendency to pill. Let's see. Nice. And the thing is, like, they have like just regular white shirts, and I don't want to give these guys like a like I'm giving them like their pants, like the shadow from like the fire, but I don't really want to make that the main shadow. I'm gonna go in there with like a brighter color because one of my watercolor teachers for my nature drawing class, which is essentially we would go to like zoos and museums and like look at the specimens, um, like the taxidermy specimens, or go to the zoo and like draw these animals from life. Is that she always kind of made us like really like look at the color and not make us think of default colors essentially. So like it wasn't just like, oh, like this thing, like our brain, our what we're used to says like, yeah, this is like a brown, like all wood is this color, or like whatever, like shadows should need to be like a gray or dark or like a black. But like just like no, like what color really is it? Like you look at it and like, mind you, her own paintings are like super colorful, and look at it use like completely non traditional shadows. But I mean, she's just looking at like the actual, for her she was looking at the actual colors in like life. So it also helped that she was like super good at life drawings. Like her like her paintings are amazing. There's a reason they're up in like the Field Museum. I'm gonna do the so I'm gonna come back. I'm gonna let this dry a little bit, but I'm gonna come back and do the fire because once I get the fire going, the lighting around them will be a little better. So Lyman, I spent a few minutes designing him on my on one of my other streams, and now I need to find out. Remember what color he has because I know John. Oh, yeah, here we go. Oh, Lyman's got like, I think in some of them he's got green, and then in some later ones he's got like this yellow suit. I think I'm gonna go with like these classic green colors he's got. So I'm gonna do green for him. Green and looks like green and black pants. Although this like cool little like plaid sport jacket and like brown pants look pretty nice too. And his mustache is brown apparently, which is really weird. So green means I have to combine this with, it's obviously blue and yellow. I only have one yellow color, which is how it should be. I want to make this a nice light green. And see, so this is the green you get when you mix it with like yellow and ultramarine. It's like a very dark, kind of almost gross, barfy green. So I don't want that. So I'm thinking instead, what might be better is maybe if I do a Prussian green, and that's a much nicer limier green there. That's a much poppier green instead of the other kind of more neutral one. Although I think my teacher would have probably suggested that I maybe add like something else to it. Yeah, that's a better one. There we go. That can stand out right nicely, actually. And his pants, I think I'm going to make... I sort of want to give him brown pants, but also I want to give him, like... I think, like, a nice dark gray pants would be better. I don't know, brown and green seems weird. See, I mean, like, trees are brown and green, but, like, or at least, like, the way we like to imagine and color them when we're kids, they're, like, brown and green. But, like, when you see people, someone wear brown and green as, like, a color, I guess a statement even, it's always weird. So I'm gonna give him his classic color instead. Make this like a kind of grayish pant instead. What I did right now was I kind of put the, like I said, I'm pulling the paint, like the pigment. So I went in and added more water again. Okay. Also, John's color scheme, like John, like in his old comics and like the first Garfield runs, he had like a blue shirt and black pants along with like Lyman. But now he's kind of got more of a... There you go. But now he's got like I think like blue jeans on, along with his like Oxford button down. That's actually like, and I call it Oxford button down because, like there's a comic I remember vividly from as a kid, where like John was like had a guitar and he was like in front of his window, and he was like trying to sing the blues, emphasis on trying, and some like random lady just tells him like to shut up. He doesn't know what the blues are. He's like a middle class like he's like just a middle class like dude and like his Oxford button down, like sitting in a window pretending he knows what the blues are. These are gonna be forgot that these aren't bell bottoms. These are actually his pants, or not his pants, but like his boots. I'm gonna give him more of a darker color scheme to make him contrast. And of course his hair will be darker. John's hair is always brown because of like the color scheme. Like I said, I tend to follow the color schemes pretty well, or I try to, for the most part. And I would make his mustache like brown because it's supposed to be apparently, but I'm kind of iffy on it. All right. I haven't done the skin tones yet, but I gotta get to making these flames. Also, heads up, this is going to be a very short stream because I have to go to work at a certain point. So maybe in like a few more minutes, I'll try to get as far as I can, lay down all the main things, and then maybe come back tomorrow, work on the rest, add in like the main, like the shading and the details. So that's looking pretty good, even from the video standpoint. That's not looking too bad. Yeah, I was worried that the wrinkling was going to be permanent, but it looks like it's gone down. So nice. Like I said, these are all just like the main. Like I said, I think I'll add more detail and shading to it as it goes on. But I'm gonna do this flame. You know, when I was in high school, this reminds me of doing like this flame thing. It reminds me how when I was in high school, I had like a buddy who I used to do these fan comics with. They were Sonic OC comics, I'll be honest. But, you know, and this is before we really kind of knew what those words meant, like I do now. But, like, we did these Sonic OC comics that were essentially supposed to take place in the same universe as the Sonic characters, but with our OCs, obviously. And I was like because I'd kind of shown aptitude for drawing. I was obviously designated as like the artist in the group, essentially. And I was an artist, but like I guess I was not as good of a colorist. So it fell to my high school friend, who was essentially my best friend at the time. It's funny because I think at one point we were walking home and he I think no, we weren't walking home, but I think it's weird to have somebody admit that you're their best friend, because you never think of, like, it's always the person, like, it's funny how, like, it's always the person you never think is your best friend who tells you, who you realize years later was maybe your best friend, or is your best friend in that moment, you know? And I said I wouldn't do this, but I wanted to. But anyways, like I said, it's funny how, like, it's always like kind of the person that you never expect to call themselves your best friend is actually your best friend. Like, because I remember one time, like, I can't remember what I did, but I think like we were goofing around, and I remember him just saying, like, man, if you weren't my best friend, I would like, I guess he was like threatening me, like in his playful threat. He's like, you know, if you weren't my best friend, I would definitely beat the shit out of you or something like that. So, which I always find very funny. But also I look back and I realize, like, man, I took some of my friends for granted. You know, especially him. Like, I think about the fact that, like, this dude considered me his best friend at a certain point, and I never took it seriously. I thought it was like maybe like a joke or something, and it turns out, I guess it wasn't. But I don't know. Eventually, he and my other friend, who I wanted to be best friends with. It's funny because there's like the thing about like having best friends is how, like, people will think you're like their best friend, or not even other people, like you, like people themselves, like you yourself will think you're someone's best friend, and then they'll tell you, it's like, oh, no, you're not my best friend. This person is my best friend. And then, like, it could be a whole thing of like, but I don't get it. We hang out all the time. We talk all the time. We're so close. And you find out, like, oh, no, like, this person does not think you're their best friend at all. And you just kind of feel like, oh man, this whole time I've been had. So it's kind of funny how things work out like that. Big, disgusting. It's like a big, disgusting, shaggy cape. There you go. And obviously he's orange. That's what I'm talking about. Like, I don't pull, like, I need to pull the paint to make it, like, really work. Nice. And the horse, I'm gonna make a big gray horse. Like I said, it's gonna be like a big row horse. Or better yet, let me look up the. I need to look up the. What do you call it? I need to look up my references for some of these. Alright, let's see. Okay. Sometimes I do want, like, I do keep a lot of my artwork. I don't a lot of the time, though, which is some people would say it would be blasphemy. But, I don't know, man, like, sometimes you don't want to live with, like, so much artwork in your life, you know? Okay, let's see. I think that's also the thing that it's one of the things that I find very useful about digital art, despite the fact that I'm going back so much to to traditional art. It's just that, especially if you're working in like trying to do like an animation thing, it's much harder, in my opinion, to like get like to just keep stuff, because you often feel like you shouldn't, but also like you feel guilty if you don't. Like you tell yourself like, oh man, am I gonna, like, what if I throw this out? Who will know this ever existed? And you realize like, I don't know, maybe like I don't know if anything's ever gonna be remastered or anything. Like if you do a bunch of pencil drawings, like I wouldn't feel guilty about just leaving that just leaving that be, you know, like throwing it out of their pencil tests. You know, I'm sure like my Atomic Phantom pencil tests don't no longer exist anymore. Like I'm sure I threw them out right after I was done with that project. There's no reason for me to like keep them all. So I always think about that sometimes, just like should I feel guilty about doing this? But also like I don't know, like I think the finished product is what needs to be like is the more important thing. I tell myself. So I don't know. It's one of those, like I said, it's one of those weird things of like what's more important, like the process aspect of it, or the finished product. Because like, you know, like I said, like there are people who will like to save these things, but also those people are saving where are you? There we go. Are also saving like pencil tests from like a big from like a bigger project, you know, like a more, some would even say like a more important project. So who knows? Also, one thing that's different, because like, so Danjin, all right, so now I got my context. So like Danjin tasked me with, he didn't task me, but he asked me if I would be interested, and I thought like, you know what, fine, why the heck not? These guys are the only ones like who are taking and doing something great, like good with my old legacy, I guess is what I would call it. I'm gonna add a little bit of the sienna here. And I thought like, why the heck not? You know, these guys, these are good kids. And they are kids. They're younger than me, which was always like a weird thing for me to like understand. But yeah, just like I don't know, like I feel guilty about like saving it, but also just like I don't know, like this is never gonna like become a collector's item for me. Like I don't expect like this little like someone to want to buy the pencil tests. Although I have considered like selling some of the original b0rf Star artwork. A few times. So I don't know. Tav, one of my compatriots, longtime colleague, he definitely feels like I could make like a quick buck or something off of like selling the original art. I don't know. I just tell him like, I don't know, man. There we go. I'm adding extra pigment where I shouldn't be. I just realized it. So, okay. I think the other thing too is like I'm trying to preserve the pencil art, like the pencil lines on here. But the thing is, like, I think this is so early in the process, I didn't make the pencil lines as hard, and it's also like a thing that I talked about in a different stream as well. It's the fact that I wanted to make, like I said, Danjin wanted me to make these similar to a video I made, like the last actual Garfield video I did, called Once Upon a Time in the Past, and in that one it was done in this style. There we go. Okay. So yeah. So I did it in that style, or I was gonna do it in that style, but I just kind of fell in love with these pencil lines. So I think like as I went on, I started to like focus more on those pencil lines. All right. So now I have to do this skin color. And the thing about skin color is that if you don't make it like, I don't know, like I feel like you have to make it some kind of pink. Because if you do it like that weird khaki color, it'll just come off as like weird or orange. Because I want to do like a pink one. Or I feel like pink, kind of a pinkish color is a good move. But like red, like, I don't know. There's something about like this kind of pale pink that I like. I think works well. That reads a skin tone. And obviously I used there's too much pigment. I want to make it a little paler, so I'm going to add some more water. There we go. I mean, there's only like two guys, like a few people. Just John. His bare feet in here. A little precursor to what he becomes later. And then, of course, the Office Boys, Steve Carell and Rainn Wilson. Ed Helms is not here. He's too busy making that Vacation remake. Yeah, see, that reads. I mean, maybe not so much in this video, but like that reads. Alright. At least from my angle. And then I'm going to do a little bit more brown while I still have the brown here. Because I needed to make the spear stand out. For some reason, Dilbert just has like a random spear. There we go. Oh, so he's sitting on like a random. It's maybe not a random stump. Maybe it's like a piece of dirt or something. A slab of dirt. Where's the stump? Who knows? That's the other thing too, because like I tried to paint around some of these like rock slabs, but it's obviously that wasn't the case in some of these. So, like I said, there's a lot of stuff I really gotta fix with this, but this is just like putting out the main color, and then there's gonna be a lot of blue next. I just want to get all the colors out of the way. A lot of Prussian blue actually. This Garfield's main color is like Prussian blue. Well, not a Prussian blue, but like a dark blue here. And then you know, like, and despite what I said about like using, I mean, if you've got like if a set already comes with these shortcuts, why not experiment with them? But if you're like I said, if you're buying your own, you have to make your own set. I would listen a lot to like what your teacher has to say about it. Your painting teacher, see what they have to say, but I'll always stick with what I learned. But honestly, Prussian blue and burnt umber do give like a nice kind of like almost metallic gray that I like. So that's a good move. I'm going to make this a little bit more brighter, so I'm going to do burnt sienna for the saddle. And I'm going to use a little bit of the blue on it just to kind of not make it so bright. But then it just makes it look like burnt sienna actually, never mind. Okay. I have to make the horse's hair a little darker to distinguish it before. If I don't do it now too, I'll get stuck that way. Okay. Like I said, I'll add more colorful shadows as it goes on. But let's see. Like I said, this Prussian blue and burnt umber make a really nice gray, especially if it's a little heavier on the blue side, and that's kind of a very nice, at least for me, metallic gray. Oh wait, no, messed up. That is a hand. I thought that was like a piece of armor. There we go. Then for that, I am gonna like maybe a little bit of burnt ochre to that. Make it kind of like a ropey look. Then some of that metal color here. Some blue here. All right. Okay, so now I'm just gonna do Marmaduke's color. For him, I kind of want to give him like a kind of a. I'm going to give him that same kind of bluish metallic color as well. And that's the good thing about, like, because he's wearing armor right here. Kind of boring looking armor though. So I'll darken that up, go in there, gray it up. Okay. And honestly, like, a lot of my armor designs, I will admit, are very much based off of, like, Saint Seiya. Uh, I'm an old Saint Seiya fan. I used to watch it in Spanish when I would visit my cousins in Mexico. And so I can tell you right now, a lot of the armor designs come from that. Even give him red pants too, to match Seiya's. God, I keep forgetting John's brown hair. Honestly, just doing like a nice little. Let's see. There we go. Yeah, easy. And then his belt buckle is brown too. Yeah. Okay. I think I'm just gonna do this car seat here in front. Just do that real quick, and then I'll save the rest for another. I'll do the rest tomorrow. So. I don't know if you guys can hear it, but my upstairs neighbor. I have a I always bring this kid up, but I got an upstairs neighbor who is like this. I think he's like 12, but he's a teenage boy. I'm starting to think he's maybe homeschooled because the pandemic is kind of slowly things are going back to normal, slowly. But he's like he like hangs out upstairs, like, and kids are going back to school. I mean, now it's summer, but like even when the pandemic returned, or when life was slowly starting to go back. Like this kid, like still staying at home while like all these other kids just like, man, like, does this kid not go to school? Had me really thinking that just maybe this kid is like either homeschooled or he's ditching. And as I said earlier, you don't want to, like I said, you don't really want to overwork your paper too much, because then you get this like pilling thing. I keep calling it pilling, but it's really what it is. Like, because if you overwork an area too much, you erase it, the pencil work too much, you do get like this. It doesn't look good. Like, it just starts to kind of, you see like the paper particles kind of rise up. So I'm gonna make that a little bluer on the front seat. See, it doesn't go on nicely. It's all worn out. And this is from me racing and trying to figure out what to put in the front there for a long time. But that should be it. For now, this is it. Like, I feel once I start putting in the shadows, the colors will be a bit more uniform. Although, I could leave it like this and just say, and tell Dan, and like put in the pencil, like put in the pen work, put in like. But the thing is, like, I might go over with some pencil lines to kind of emphasize the pencil lines a little bit more. But for now, this seems fine. Like I said, I'm gonna go in tomorrow with some more details of the painting. Add some more shadows here so it doesn't look so flat and clearly like an underpainting. Although I am very proud of what I did with Garfield around here. I kind of like the way that looks. So, well, if nothing else, I mean, I think I did a lot of progress, and I think I got pretty far. Gotta leave this paint set a little open so the paint dries out, and when I flip it back over, it doesn't like make a mess. So, yeah, I don't know. I feel like I'm in a good place. I feel like this camera doesn't really do this justice. Let me see if I can even like do some focusing on it. Let me see. No. Yeah. Doesn't look too bad. Well, anyways. Let me see. Let me zoom in here. Yeah. It's coming along. The lighting, I think, that I have set up for it doesn't do it justice, but it's coming along. I like to think. Well, alright. I'm wasting time. Anyways, I guess I could thank anybody who showed up to watch this, who discovered this, who were on YouTube and were like, what's this guy doing? And decided to give this a quick look-see. Really appreciate that. This is kind of a guerrilla stream. I didn't plan this out at all. That's fine. You know, sometimes you don't have to plan certain things. Sorry about the huge arm in the way. So I don't know if I'm going to stream again tomorrow the rest of this, but I might. I might just like not waste so much time setting this up just to do this quick thing. But I don't know, I felt like coming back and doing a little quick stream. See if how that is, remembering what it was like to do this. But anyways, if nothing else, as I've said before, I'll say it again. I'll see you when I'll see you.